Hi there. So there's a moment you probably recognize. You're about to walk into a meeting or into a group, conversation, situation, whatever, and you feel slightly exposed, like a little bit naked. And somewhere along the way, this familiar instruction kicks in. Stand up straight, smile, project confidence, fake it till you make it. So you do. And maybe it even works, like on the outside, right? But afterward, or maybe even during, you walk away and you're feeling just a little bit off, like maybe a little tight, kind of disconnected, kind of like you performed something because you did. And that performing takes place instead of actually being somewhere real. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, not confidence the way that it's usually taught, right? Posture and performance and convincing people or being persuasive. But what actually creates the steadiness, let's say, inside of you, so you don't have to manufacture or build some sort of external facade, let's say. Hi, I'm Leezá Steindorf. I'm an international leadership coach, member of the Forbes Coaches Council. And for decades, I've been helping people really around the globe think more clearly, trust themselves, and act from an internal strength and integrity, especially when it's uncomfortable or when things get tough. So this video is not about becoming more impressive. It's actually about becoming more rooted. So your actions don't cost you afterward or they don't feel uncomfortable later. Before we go further, I want to thank you for the comments and the thoughtful engagement here. I read them and I'm genuinely grateful that you all are finding it useful. These videos are designed to support each other and to weave together. So you're welcome to share this with someone whom you think would benefit from it. And you're also welcome to subscribe, especially if you want to know when new ones come out. All right. So as an executive coach, I work with people in C-suite, in senior management, senior executive positions, leaders in the community, and so forth. And I've had an amazing opportunity of coaching many of them through, I'm going to say, discovering grounded confidence, that sense of self that is unshakable. I'm going to call it self-trust. Okay. But I'm going to get to that distinction in a minute. So high power people can't just look confident, right? What I just spoke about, which a lot of confidence trainings teach. How do you look good on the outside? People that are in high power positions, they can't look that way. They have to be able to stand in the deepest strength of who they are and be crystal clear about what they know and what they're doing there. And then from that place, from that internally grounded orientation, then they're best equipped to deal at the highest level possible. And that kind of confidence is unshakable. And you don't need, I'm going to say, external certainty to have it. So I'm going to give you an example from my own past, from my own professional, I'm going to say maybe turning point around this because I was super uncomfortable in my own strength. And when I was just becoming aware of how to distinguish between internal orientation and those external forces and my external focus on them. All right. So years ago, I was facilitating, it's kind of a high stakes meeting, I'm going to say. Really super smart people, high powered people, a lot of strong opinions in the room. And so there was pressure, right? Facilitating can be challenging. I really love it. In this circumstance, I was younger and not assured of myself at all. And honestly, on paper, I did everything right. Like checked it off. I spoke clearly. I held the room. I didn't hesitate. I didn't shrink, right? And everyone responded really well. But halfway through, about, I started to notice something inside of myself. Something was off, right? My jaw was a little tight. My breath was high. Like I was uncomfortable, even though everything external looked great. And I also noticed that I was planning the next thing I was going to say before I'd actually finished what I was saying. So I wasn't even really completely present to what I was doing, to who I was being. So from the outside, it looked like confidence, but in the inside, I was actually managing myself. And I remember thinking, man, This doesn't feel like strength, it feels like effort. That's what I want to talk about, okay? Because here's something that most people don't even notice, that most confidence trainings, and I'm going to put confidence in quotation marks because I'm going to distinguish that here in a minute. Most confidence trainings teach you how to override your uncertainty instead of how to orient inside of it. Okay? That's a really important distinction. And you don't need to have certainty in order to feel strong and to feel grounded in your value and what you bring. Okay? So I'm talking about really a perspective shift here. So most confidence trainings teach you how to deal with a problem, and they assume that the problem is that you're hesitant or you have self-doubt or you're afraid of being judged. And so then the solution that they bring is you have to push through or project certainty, or you have to perform in a certain way that you seem assured. But that then is actually the outside in, right? It's skipping something really essential because the discomfort that you feel in those moments isn't actually weakness at all. It's information. So let me explain what I mean by that. When you're trained to perform confidence, like to do confidence, instead of listening within to orient, then you don't just lose like the fine points. You actually lose contact with yourself. So that connection to self, that internal orientation is the alpha and the omega of what we could call grounded confidence. That's self-oriented. So let me go back to the meeting, right? That I was talking about. So standing in the meeting, I noticed that something feels kind of off here. But then I also noticed actually that I wasn't responding to what was happening in that moment. I was responding to how I wanted to be perceived. I'm going to say that again because I think that especially in our Western world, how we look is becomes super important. So when I felt the least prepared to bring my value and my strength to the meeting is when I was not present to me and to what was happening in interaction with others, but I was actually acting from how I wanted to be perceived, how I wanted them to see me. And that's the hidden cost when you're working from the outside in. When you do outside in confidence, your attention actually leaves the moment that you're in and it goes into impression management. You're managing how you want to be perceived, what impression you want to leave. And your body knows that, and your mind and your agility is part of your body. So when your body starts to get tight, or when you walk out of the meeting, it's like, oh, that slump that you have, or that sense of maybe, God, I just left these people that like, why do I need to be by myself? That's not because you're introverted. I certainly was not introverted at that point, but it's because you're overriding yourself. Yeah, you're overriding yourself. So let's just take a short pause here, just 30 seconds, a minute. And I'd like to offer you something that I feel you can actually use. So wherever you are right now listening to this, don't change anything. Don't get all comfortable. Just stay where you are and notice. Where is your body holding? Notice whether your breath is shallow or it's deep. Whether you're slightly on, like if your system's ready to go. Just notice that. So you're not trying to fix it. You're not trying to change it. Notice it. And then you can ask yourself the simple question, which is really useful in building grounded confidence. What am I managing right now? Don't ask what's wrong. Don't ask what should I change. Just what am I managing? And asking that question brings you back to yourself. What am I managing? Is it my fear, my discomfort, my impatience, my hunger, whatever? Just notice what your body's holding is actually managing. So here's the distinction that most people aren't ever taught. That's what I wanted to talk about. And that is the outside in confidence, as it's commonly spoken of in professional arenas as just simply confidence, right? It's about how you appear, how others see you. It's not really usually trained about how do you feel. Grounded confidence, let's call it self-trust here, It's about where you're standing from, where you're orienting from. The outside in asks, do I sound convincing? Am I coming across well? Am I seen as capable? Right? So we're oriented externally looking in onto ourselves. That grounded confidence, that self-trust asks from a completely different place. Asks from within. Am I actually here? Am I orienting to what's real for me in this situation? Am I taking action from my integrity or from my own momentum rather than what's going on around me? Those are really super important questions. And the truth of it is, you can look confident totally to the outside world and still be abandoning yourself. As a matter of fact, many highly confident people, people who look like they're doing an amazing job out there, are actually overriding their internal signals. And from the outside, it looks great. But that has a cost, at least long term, if not short. You can't do that for long and be really satisfied and fulfilled within yourself. And I'm going to go as far as to say is your work and your relationships are going to suffer from it because it's actually not authentic. It's not congruent. And if we want to, the way I've learned to define authenticity is congruent inside and out. That's what we're talking about. So if we come back to my example in that meeting, I stopped doing something really very subtle, but it was really important. I stopped rehearsing, practicing, and I just let a few seconds of silence just settle in. And then instead of managing that next moment or asserting that I knew the next point, I actually said, I'm going to slow this down for a minute because I want to be sure that we're responding to the actual issue, not to the pressure that's being built around it. And it wasn't dramatic or anything. Like people didn't get all frustrated and no one challenged me and no one lost respect for me, nothing like that. But internally, oh man, my shoulders dropped, my breath settled down. Like I came home to myself, like I was coming from the inside out. And that's really grounded confidence. That's internal orientation. So here's the question that traditional confidence trainings actually never ask. And one that I have consistently, if you listen to some of my videos, you'll hear it again and again. What's actually mine to do here? It's really simple. You're going into a meeting, you're presenting something, you're having a conversation, you're going to negotiate, you're going to lead a project, whatever it is that you're doing, what's actually mine to do here? And then you bring that, because once you ask that, a lot of the noise falls away. You stop trying to control other people's reactions. You stop trying to seek approval from other people or stay ahead of their judgments that they may have of you. And you're in a position that you can respond from something deeper and quieter and super reliable. It's your internal orientation, and that's integrity. And it doesn't need to be loud, but it needs, I'm going to say, a location. And that's grounded within yourself. So as you know, I like to give mini practices. So here's one for you to try out. If you're facing a moment right now in your life somewhere and you think, I need to be confident, I need to show up confident, just think about trying this out instead. Before you go into the situation, pause for a minute. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel the ground under your feet. Let your spine lengthen, even if it's just a fraction, just a little longer. And then ask, where am I acting from right now? Performance, which is external, or from my presence? What's mine to do? And you don't need to answer either one of those. Where am I acting from now? Or what's mine to do? But your body, in just asking the questions, will have a response. It's pretty phenomenal. So when you're oriented, your actions actually simplify. They don't get more complicated. When you're grounded inside yourself and that self-trust, it may look like speaking directly, speaking plainly. Here's what I'm seeing. and I want to check and see if others are seeing the same thing. Yeah. Or it may be restraint. You may say, I'm not ready to weigh in yet. I need more information first. Sometimes it might be saying nothing at all because, not because you're afraid, but because there's nothing else to add, nothing else clean to add. It would just be redundancy. And none of that requires you to be uh, externally outside in confident. It requires contact with yourself, with that self-trust, with that grounded internal confidence. So this entire way, everything I presented to you is a part of a process I call ROOT, R-O-O-T, and it's not about self-improvement. It's about returning to yourself. It's something you use in real situations and how you can practice being all of yourself again. All right, so I'd like to leave this with you before we part, something that you can take with you, again, a practice. The next time that you feel that you need to be more confident, pause. Remember, I've spoken about POP. Pause, observe, proceed. P-O-P, POP. Pause long enough to ask the question, not how do I look, but am I here with myself? What's mine to do, right? Coming back to that self, that internal orientation. Because interestingly, that's not self-centered. When we are grounded in ourselves and clear, we can actually then serve others to our highest and best ability. That's when we have the ability to be out there for others. Okay? So, and you can try it out. You don't need to get it right the first time, and you don't need to make it a habit. Just practice it. See how it feels to you and see what changes. Just notice. Notice how it is to orient within instead of performing from outside. So, if you want to trust yourself more and stop paying the internal cost of performing strength, as I'm going to say it, then keep working with this, practice it. And if this is the kind of practical, grounded support that's useful to you, you are welcome to subscribe so that you'll know when new videos come out. These teachings, as I said before, are designed to work together and support each other, and you're welcome to share them. And if you want to go deeper, please connect with me. I'm happy to support you. And as ever, please leave a comment. All right. Take care. Be well.